What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the video here on the World of Juice channel, and welcome to kind of a what if video. This one is not going to be about Madden 22, or it's not going to be about college football or anything like that. We're going to be talking about the NFL. And yesterday, an interesting thing was brought up on Twitter. Bleacher Report and I think some other people had this, and they were talking about it on Twitter and stuff. That they asked the question, what former NFL player would dominate in today's game? And I started thinking about some former NFL players that were dominant in their own time that would just absolutely go crazy in nowadays. And I started thinking about like Randy Moss, Megatron, Calvin Johnson. I started thinking about Barry Sanders, guys like that, that just absolutely destroyed their generation, and I feel like would still destroy in this generation. But there's two guys that they actually asked, and gave their response. Now, I don't know how official this is. This is just from Bleacher Report. They put these out on their Twitter page, so I'm taking them as fact. I'm taking them as this is actually what these two players said. So they asked Bo Jackson and Jerry Rice what they thought, how they thought they would do in today's game, if they thought they would dominate or what. And this is what Bo Jackson had to say. I quote, "If I played during this era, I'd probably be averaging 350 to 400 yards a game," end quote. That's what Bo Jackson had to say about if he played in today's game. Now, like I said, I don't know how fact this is. I don't know if this is actually something that Bo Jackson said, or if this is just like a concept of what somebody would think that Bo Jackson would say. So I'm not going on record saying that this is entirely fact, that Bo Jackson confirmed this and Bo Jackson said this. It could very well be that, but I just don't know. I don't have enough information to know that. But Jerry Rice said, I quote, "I probably might be able to double everything," end quote, is what Jerry Rice had to say. So I'm assuming that these guys said this, but I don't really know for sure, so I can't be 100% certain. I don't want to say something wrong if these guys never said this and then I'm just saying that they did. But even if they didn't say this, this brings up an interesting point. Would Bo Jackson and Jerry Rice be as dominant as they were back in their day in the 80s? Would they be as dominant in 2021? It's a very interesting question. Now, Bo Jackson is known for being a two-sport athlete, playing for the Kansas City Royals and the Oakland Raiders. Well, I think they were the LA Raiders at the time. But would Bo Jackson be able to dominate for 350 or 400 yards a game, averaging around that a game? And you got to bring up the comparison of a guy like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry rushed for 2,000 yards last year. Probably should have won the MVP, but it was taken from him. Derrick Henry's a very physical running back. He's definitely got the speed burst. Probably not as much of a speed burst as Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson had the gas when he turned it on. Just go back and watch some Bo Jackson highlights. He had some wheels on him once he turned it on. So Bo Jackson was also a very physical downhill running back, had the thick tree trunk legs that could break off any tackle, just like Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry, I feel like, is a good comparison. Maybe not one for one, but it's still a pretty solid comparison to him. And Derrick Henry doesn't average 350 to 400 yards a game. I feel like Bo Jackson definitely played in an era where the linebackers, the safeties, the defenses in general weren't as fast as they are now. They were wearing heavier pads. All the pads nowadays are super light, super air-fitting. Like, they're super aerodynamic is what I was trying to say. They're super, like, it's like you're wearing nothing, basically. And these athletes are so much more conditioned, so much more athletic, faster than they used to be. And I don't know if Bo Jackson would... obviously, Bo Jackson's Bo Jackson. He would probably do pretty well. He'd probably get 1,500 yards a season and maybe like 16, 17 touchdowns a season. So he would probably be a very good Pro Bowl running back. I don't know if he would be the level that he's saying, 350 to 400 a game. I don't think that's possible. Even with the greatest running, you could put Herschel Walker back there or Walter Payton back there, and I don't know if those guys even average 350 to 400 yards a game. It's too hard with the speed of the defenses nowadays and stuff. I don't know if it's possible. So Bo Jackson definitely would be a Pro Bowl running back in 2021. I don't know if he'd probably be an MVP candidate. I don't know if he would average the absurd numbers that he's saying he would. Now, moving on to Jerry Rice, we talked about how he said that he could probably double everything that he did. I tend to believe Jerry Rice more than I tend to believe Bo Jackson. Now, Jerry Rice was never the speediest, is that a word? The fastest guy on the football field. He was never the most physical wide receiver on the football field, but he got the job done. He caught everything, and he scored a lot of touchdowns and won a lot of Super Bowls. I'm not saying, me saying that he wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the most physical, isn't me saying that Jerry Rice was a bad wide receiver anyway. He's one of the best wide receivers of all time. And I tend to agree with him more than I do Bo Jackson, because Jerry Rice in 2021 would be as good, if not better, than what he was in the 80s. Because of the rule changes, the wide receivers can't get hit as hard as they got hit back in Jerry Rice's day. There's no headshots. There's no blindside hits. There's nothing like that. No leading with the head at all. It's more of an offensive favored game now than it was back in Jerry Rice's day. So having those advantages and already having Jerry Rice's skill, I feel like would benefit him even more. And I believe him on him at least getting close to probably doubling what he did in the 80s. He could probably get close to doubling that in 2021, especially if he's got a good quarterback to back him up. Like if we put him on the 49ers and he's got Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know if he'd be able to do that just because I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo is that good of a quarterback. But let's say you put him on Tampa Bay with Tom Brady, or you put him on Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, you put him in Seattle with Russell Wilson. I feel like I put him in those systems. I feel like he gets close to doubling because he's Jerry Rice. He's one of the best wide receivers of all time. He was back then one of the best wide receivers of all time. Nowadays, he probably still is one of the best wide receivers of all time, and probably maybe the best. Maybe he's the greatest at this point because it's just a different game. The same with Bo Jackson. It's just the same how I was saying that the defenses are different and they're a lot more athletic, a lot faster, a lot has changed in the defensive game. A lot has changed in the offensive game as well. It's a more pass-heavy offense. The game is catered more towards the offense than it used to be. You can't hit the quarterbacks as much. You can't hit the wide receivers. The penalties are more towards the defense. And so Jerry Rice, I feel like, would absolutely dominate and thrive in 2021 style offense, especially if he's got a good quarterback, because he had Joe Montana, he had Steve Young. So if you put him on the Buccaneers, you put him on the Packers, you put him on any team with a great quarterback, you put him on Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, you put him on any one of those teams and they can get him the ball, I feel like Jerry Rice, he had enough speed to get by the defenders back in the 80s. I don't know. The corners nowadays are really fast. I don't know if he'd be as quick as some of those corners, but I feel like he would be smart enough to know how to beat those fast corners, and he would still be able to win those matchups one-on-one. So I think that Jerry Rice and Bo Jackson both would have very good careers in 2021. I feel like Jerry Rice would have a little bit better of a career, probably even more of a Hall of Famer than he already is. Probably the best wide receiver of all time in 2021 rather than Bo Jackson being better than that. But let me know down below what you guys think. If you guys think that Jerry Rice and Bo Jackson are right, they would both be dominant in 2021. Let me know down below in the comments. And also let me know down below if you guys have any other guys that I may have not mentioned. I mentioned like Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, Randy Moss. Let me know down below. And obviously Bo Jackson and Jerry Rice. Let me know down below if you guys have any other guys from the past that you think would be dominant in 2021 offenses and defenses, and I'll see if you'd be right. Let's have a conversation down there. I'm pretty curious to see what you guys have to say. So let me know down below in the comments all those things. Smash that like button, hit the notification bell, and the subscription button as well. Join the Juice Club, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.